Be seated. Good morning, everybody. So it was cold when I left this morning, and you can see from the way Michael is dressed, we're feeling a bit cold. There's only Marjorie who's in a short sleeve shirt underneath that jacket. She's very strong. And I wish you all a happy new year, both for 2020 and for the coming Chinese New Year. Aren't we lucky in Taiwan? If you've got New Year resolutions and you have not yet succeeded in keeping them, you have a whole new year coming up to reach a long time of houses. And for many years, I lived right next door to the Reverend Zhang Yuanrong Mushi, who's about to become the next bishop. He lived there with his wife and their cat. Now, this cat was very old, and it has a big droopy tummy. When it walked, it looked like it was pregnant. Everybody said, "Oh, congratulations, your cat's going to have baby kittens." And Zhang Mushi, he will always say, no, it's very old. It's all kind of drooping down. Oh, this cat had very big eyes, and it will stand at the doorstep and look at everybody, and sometimes it would take a walk. But if you shout its name or any students came past, it will run inside the house or under the tree, and it would shake like this. Any visitors to the house, it would run upstairs. Do you know its name? Its name was Calling, as in calling, because it had been found inside a telephone box. So, telephone. But every time you called the cat, "Calling," shoo, it would run away. It was very interesting. I'd just tell you that secret because the future bishop of Taiwan, he just loves cats. We had a church cat. The cat's name was Organ. It was there because we had an electric organ, still have, but the wires were being eaten by mice. So we had a cat whose job was to protect the organ, and the name of the cat was Organ. Both these cats have passed away, and now Zhang has got 3 grandchildren instead of cats. So that's a little secret to tell you. The word calling is not just used for telephone boxes and cats. It's used in many different ways. We use the word when we're talking to somebody or talking about visiting somebody or contacting them. We call them. We use it in our name. My name, I am called Catherine. We talk about birds calling to each other. And we also use the word calling to mean when you have a strong urge towards a particular way of life or a career, a vocation. We talk about having a calling to serve as a priest. Today's Bible readings, all of them either directly mention or imply a theme of calling. In the opening verse of the Old Testament reading from Isaiah, the one read by Sean, we hear Isaiah saying that the Lord called me before I was born. While I was in my mother's womb, he named me. Then in the opening verse of the New Testament reading, the epistle from 1 Corinthians that Samuel read, we see a different use of the word calling, as in vocation. When the epistle says, Paul called to be an apostle of Christ Jesus by the will of God, and our brother Sosthenes, to the church of God that is in Corinth, to those who are sanctified in Christ Jesus, called to be saints. And finally, in today's gospel reading, we read of the calling of the first disciples by Jesus, and how when Jesus saw Andrew's brother Simon, he announced that from now on, Simon, you will be called Cephas, meaning Peter, or translated as Peter. When Jesus called those first disciples, he invited them to come and see where he was staying. There was no pressure, no fear, no hard sell, no, like on the phone, you get the phone and it's the bank saying, would you like an overdraft? Would you like a credit card? You know what it's like, kind of make a decision now. not like Jesus. Jesus says, come and see, welcome. There's no pressure, no fear. It was a simple invitation to come and see, to come and to get to know Jesus better. It was an invitation to enter into a special relationship with Jesus. That invitation still stands today. Jesus calls us into a loving relationship with him. This season in the church is known as Epiphany. And it's a time when traditionally we remember the visit of the 3 wise men to see Jesus. These 3 wise men are also known as the 3 kings. The old word for them is magi, M-A-G-I. This is an old Latin word, borrowed apparently from a Greek word, which itself is derived from an old Persian word for priest of the Zoroastrian religion. These priests, as part of their religion, paid particular attention to the stars, and they gained an international reputation for astrology, which at that time was highly regarded as a science. The word magi gives rise to the word magic, M-A-G-I, add a C, becomes magic. We pronounce it magic. But the original magi were not linked with magic, as in sorcery. That was strongly forbidden in their religion. These 3 wise men, they saw a special star in the east, and they packed up their camels, and they followed that star. And it led them to Bethlehem, where they found baby Jesus and his family. They gave him gifts, and they worshipped him. They took a risk. They followed the star, and it led them to Jesus. The Anglican Church in the UK had a Christmas project. They called it Follow the Star. It had daily meditations, emails, testimonies, videos all over the Christmas season, encouraging everyone in their faith. Their theme was, just as the wise men followed the star and found Jesus, each of us is also encouraged to follow that star, to respond to God's calling, and so to find Jesus. This Christmas, the Archbishop of Canterbury, he posted a photo on social media. He wrote the words in handwriting, Emmanuel, God with us. And he took a photo of his handwriting and he posted that photo on the internet upside down. Emmanuel, God with us, upside down. He posted it, and he wrote, underneath, he wrote on Instagram and Facebook, the Christmas story is so familiar, it's easy to forget it turns the whole world upside down. This is God taking the risk, not just of being a vulnerable human baby, but being born in the last place you'd expect to find him. Picture the scene of Jesus' birth, dirty, makeshift, less than ideal, perhaps embarrassing or shameful for Mary and Joseph. But God just wanted to be with us. This is God saying, there are no places I won't bless. This is God saying that whoever is outcast, you will find me among them. There are no people I will refuse to love. That was the words of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Following the star, finding Jesus will turn your world upside down. It will change your life. At the end of December, 29th of December until the 30th, 31st, 2 days really, we had a family group of 22 visitors who came to Taiwan. They were the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the first Chinese bishop of Taiwan, Bishop James Wong. He was bishop here in Taiwan from 1965 to 1970. They wanted to come to Taiwan to see where Bishop Wong is buried. He's buried under the altar of Advent Church at St. John's University. They wanted to come and see what happened after their grandfather and great-grandfather responded to God's call and followed the star, and it brought him to Taiwan. While Bishop Wong was here as bishop, he founded what is now known as St. John's University. He set up a companion diocese relationship with the Diocese of Upper South Carolina in the USA. He raised a huge amount of money to help build many of our churches. And he inspired a whole generation of clergy, including our bishop-elect, Reverend Lennon Zhang. And it was his motto, Bishop Wong's motto, transforming lives through the life of Christ, which really means in all your life and witness, vision, in individuals, in the church, in the community, in the society. Those words, actually, we were here yesterday for an ordination, and Lennon Dang, the bishop-elect, stood here in this pulpit, and he said those words to the new deacon, Ming Yo, and said, as a graduate of St. John's University, your founder, Bishop James Wong, said those words, and that is our calling. That is what we are called to do. Transform lives through the life of Christ, through our lives, change. Transformation, that word, is another way of saying to turn the world upside down. While the Wong family were here in Taiwan, we had a special event here at the cathedral. We arranged for them to meet some of our senior clergy and church members to hear firsthand about Bishop Wong and his life and influence. Bishop Wong died when he was 70. Of all that group of 22 people who came here for that visit, only 2 of them ever met Bishop Wong, and they were only like 3 years old, 4 years old. They have no living memories of Bishop Wong. It was a really good chance for them to come here and to meet the people whose lives were changed because of Bishop Wong's vision and drive and energy. One of the people we invited to stand up and share their story just happens to be here today, Reverend Michael Leo. Michael stood up and he shared about how he was originally a Presbyterian. He trained in Tainan Theological College. He thought he was going to be a Presbyterian pastor. On the day of his graduation from Tainan Theological College, Bishop Wong had a meeting. I believe Michael was not at the meeting, but the meeting was with the principal of Tainan Theological College and the head of the Taiwan Presbyterian Church. I'm more or less okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Bishop Wong asked them, the Presbyterian Church, could they lend, the word is borrow, lend, Michael to the Taiwan Episcopal Church. He says for 99 years, but I'm not sure if it's for 90. It might be because he's still here. And the reason was Bishop Wong wanted to start a ministry among Taiwanese-speaking people in Taiwan. The Presbyterian Church said yes. Michael, fortunately, I don't know if he had a chance to say no, but he also joined in and said yes. And that is how Michael and all his family come to be in the Taiwan Episcopal Church today. We are very grateful that the Taiwan Presbyterian Church said yes. We are even more grateful that Michael had the courage to say yes and to respond to God's call to follow the star. This English service here at St. John's Cathedral, filled with Michael's family even today, they are here as a direct result of Michael saying yes to God's calling and yes to Bishop Wong's vision and request. God's calling comes in all sorts of different ways. Sometimes we do not know it at the time, but when we look back, we can see God's hand at work. And God working through Bishop Wong and his vision to transform Taiwan and the Taiwan Episcopal Church, for which we give thanks to God. So as we start a new year and Chinese New Year coming up this week, let us resolve in this new year to be transformed in our Christian faith, to allow God to turn our world upside down. The Archbishop of Canterbury had a New Year message as well. He encouraged everyone to reconcile and reconnect with friends and family by calling them or sending a text. Our world is broken. Our relationships are often broken or fading away. I encourage you also this new year to take the time to call and to reconnect with friends and family, and to take this theme of calling and find out through prayer what God is saying to you, whether through your own call or vocation as a Christian, or just as God reminds you to reconnect and reconcile with friends and family and people who you've known in the past. And do as Jesus did. Say to them, welcome to St. John's Cathedral, come and see. It's very simple. There's no pressure, there's no hard sell, but come and see what God is doing. So Happy New Year to you all, and I hope you have a wonderful time with your red envelopes and all the wonderful things you're going to eat and enjoy. And do come for coffee afterwards with the New Year celebrations of donuts and Bible study. Amen.